So today, first of all, thank you for coming on a Monday evening. We have a relatively brief agenda. It says we have a small group. I think we'll try to keep it quick. But we'll go over the purpose of the webinar, do some quick intros, talk about who is this group, Young Professionals in Energy, San Francisco Bay Area, and then we will go over the scholarship, which is really the purpose of today. So who are we? So this webinar was put together by the Outreach Working Group of the Scholarship Committee from Young Professionals in Energy. My name is Eleanor Dachi. I use she, her pronouns. I am a member of the YPE board, and I'm a senior energy analyst at the California Public Utilities Commission. Lassie, do you want to introduce yourself really quickly?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Walasi. I am on the YPE events committee, so I help not only the scholarship program, but also help plan some events. And I currently work at SPAN as a senior certification engineer.
Thank you. Thanks for joining today. Our third Outreach Working Group member, Malin, is not able to join today, but she's also on the events committee, and she is an MBA candidate at the Berkeley Haas School of Business. And since we have a small group, Jocelyn, I don't know if you would be willing to share with us, your name is Jocelyn, but your pronouns, what school you attend, and your major. If you're not able to come off mute, you can drop it in the chat, but also no pressure to share. I think our main goal is to make this webinar useful for everyone who's attending, and hopefully it will also be useful for the folks that will be watching this recording. So yeah, please feel free to use the chat if you have questions. And then we're going to have a little survey. I think we might skip that for today. And it looks like we have another attendee. Hi, Savannah.
Hi.
And just in time, just doing some quick intros. Do you want to share your names, pronouns, school you attend, and your major if you have declared yet?
Yeah, my name's Savannah Ruiz, and I go by the she series pronouns, and I'm going to UC Berkeley. I'm currently a second year, and I'm majoring in society and environment.
Very cool. I was just saying, I think probably as you were joining, this webinar is being recorded. Just heads up on that. But that we really want to make this as useful as possible for the folks who are attending today. So if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat. I might skip our little survey just in the interest of time, but thank you for joining. And I see, Jocelyn, you came off mute. Do you want to say what school you attend and your major? I don't know if you can hear us, Jocelyn. All right, I think we might keep going. Again, thank you for coming today. So the purpose of today's webinar is to share more information about the scholarship opportunity, to share some tips on what makes for a thoughtful application, and to answer any questions that you might have. So first, a little bit about our organization. So Young Professionals in Energy, or just YPE SF Bay Area, is a local chapter of Young Professionals in Energy, which is a global nonprofit. We have over 40,000 members across 40 chapters. And these are a couple of fun photos from last year of our group. We organize both social networking events as well as more knowledge-oriented events, organizing events such as career panels, fireside chats, industry-specific kind of trends that are coming up that we want to learn about. And in addition, Diversity and social responsibility is really at the core of our mission, and the scholarship program is a big part of that. And so what is our vision for the scholarship? First of all, we want to identify that climate change is a challenge that's going to define our generation, and that we really need an equitable, resilient, and decarbonized system in order to face climate change. We created this scholarship to support the student community in Northern California who are interested in going into energy and climate issues, providing both funding and mentorship that will help advance your educational and professional journeys. We really encourage students from all backgrounds to apply. One of our goals, as we mentioned, is to try to increase diversity in this space, not just because we think it's kind of an objectively good thing, but also because it will really help us tackle the climate crisis. More unique perspectives and diverse perspectives will help us have a more robust response. And so to that end, we also welcome applicants from any major and really encourage students from non-traditional paths to apply. We do want to mention that this is a financial need-based opportunity, although we do, look for very excellent applicants. We want to make sure that this scholarship is going to help the people who need it the most. And we really hope that all of you will apply. So benefits of the scholarship, each winner will receive at least $2,500 towards qualified educational expenses. Note that this money is provided directly to your institution rather than to the applicant themselves. We also provide opportunities for mentorship and attendance at least one of our events. And I would say in general, our members are really excited about our scholarship winners, and we do try, to make sure that people get as much access to our network, to our community as possible. So I think you'll find it's a very welcoming place and that people will be excited to get to know you and to support you in your journey. And lastly, it's a chance to get noticed by people working in the industry. Right now, y'all are in school, but soon you'll be in the workforce, and I'd say the connections that you're building now could be the start of your professional network for years to come. Also wanted to highlight some of our previous winners. So the scholarship program launched in 2021, and we awarded 2 winners, and then we awarded 2 more winners last year. And so we have their pictures on the screen. We have Ria, Peter, Melissa, and Catherine, or she goes by Kathy. All of them super amazing winners. I was personally on the scholarship committee last year and read all of the applications. And I'd say it's a really rewarding part of being in this program, just seeing how inspiring you all are, even though, you're kind of early in your journeys, the ideas that you have around addressing climate change and your personal journeys that have kind of shaped your perspectives are really interesting to learn about. And I've loved getting to know everyone, even the people who are not ultimately awarded. So eligibility, this year we have expanded the scholarship. Previously we said that it was for Bay Area college students. This year we are expanding it to any post-secondary institution in Northern California. So that would include folks from UC Davis, although I don't think we have anyone attending UC Davis on the call today. I just wanted to highlight kind of the broadening scope. We encourage students who are pursuing either an associate's or a bachelor's degree to apply. Unfortunately, this does not include grad students, so this is an undergraduate only scholarship program. But again, all majors and focuses of study are welcome. However, we do expect you to have some kind of interest in energy or climate, but how you pursue that interest can be in any way kind of that you see fit. As we mentioned before, applicants to be considered also have to have demonstrated financial need. And we do look for good academic standing, so that we give a preference for students who have a GPA of 3.0 or higher. But that, let's say that you have some poor academic performance due to extenuating circumstances. That's definitely something that we encourage you to mention in your application. And there is now a short answer box specifically for that purpose, if you want to share some context. Maybe I'll just pause for a moment and make sure that no one has questions. I know I've been going through a little bit quickly. All right. Hearing none, I'll keep going, but again, feel free to use the chat or to just come off mute and ask your question. All right, so the application process. The applications are due on June 30th. We only accept online applications. We have a link to the Google form on our website. And I can pull it up really quick. So this is the Google form. So I'd say if you are not seeing this Google form, if you see a PDF or anything like that, please make sure to find a way to access the Google form. Another option is if you go to YPE-SF-Bay-Area.org/about the scholarship. There's also a link to that form here. So as I said, applications must be submitted online at the deadline through the month of June and through the month of July. We will be reviewing applications and then we will be notifying winners in August. And at that point in time, once we have notified the winners, we of course will wait for people to accept the scholarship. And then once we have all of our accepted awardees, we will be providing consent forms that students must fill out. They also have to verify enrollment at their college or university because we will need to send the funds to their educational institution. Then in September, if there aren't any delays, our goal is to transmit the funds and then to feature our winners both in our newsletter, which I think goes out to about 4,000 people every month, and also to introduce you to the YPE community. The last event kind of associated with the scholarship is our Clean Energy Career Expo. This usually happens in either September or October. And this is not only for winners. Here, all applicants and really any students are very encouraged to attend. And I know that someone just joined. I want to let you know that this event is being recorded, and also that if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat or to raise your hand, although we'll have Q&A at the end. All right, so now we're going into a little bit more of the details. So we're going to share some tips on crafting a compelling application. Give me 1 second just to get us some water. So crafting a compelling application, our suggestion is that you first review the application very carefully. There are a couple of different sections, probably nothing you haven't seen before, especially if you're currently in college. You'll probably see some similarities to, say, college application forms, asking for some personal information, your academic and employment history. And then the other thing that we want to flag is that there are a couple of documents that you'll need to upload and that you should have these ready. In general, our recommendation is that you download a PDF version of the application, which is also posted on the YPE website. and linked in the Google form itself. That you review that PDF in full and that you have all of your documents ready and that you start to put your answers to the application questions in, say, a local Word document on your computer. That way, as you're working on the application, you have, as much time as you want. And when you're ready to submit, you can just copy and paste from that document into the Google form. Applicants, in order to be considered, do have to respond to all of the required questions and to upload all the required documents. Those notably are 2 essay responses, a copy of your school transcript, either official or unofficial, and either a FAFSA student aid report or some kind of documentation of demonstrated financial need. In addition, this year, we've also included an option to upload a resume or CV, but you do not have to do that. It's just your option. We'll also talk a little bit about the 2 different essays that are part of the application. So the first essay, and I guess before I dive into this, I'll just say that I think the essays are really what we consider the heart of the application. It's where we look for, kind of the narrative that all of your previous experiences have developed and how you connect your own personal narrative to the issue of climate change and how you see yourself making a difference in the energy and climate space. So I'd say if you're going to focus anywhere, I would focus on making really thoughtful essay responses. Okay, now that I've kind of given that, talk about the questions themselves. The first question is to share a local or global event from the past year related to energy or climate that motivated you to explore this space. It could also be an event from your own experience. We've seen that be pretty effective in the past. And then the question is, what would you want to learn and do to remedy the challenges associated with the event? And so in 500 words or less, please describe the event, how it changed your perspective or goals, and how you would approach addressing the challenges highlighted. So what are we looking for here? First, we hope that everyone will answer the question in its entirety. As you can see in that last sentence, there are kind of 3 different parts. And so we want people to address all 3 parts. In addition, we are looking for a clear and detailed vision of the problem that you are addressing. In this case, it doesn't just mean climate change, it means the specific event that you're talking about. And then a thoughtful and informative explanation of the solution or solutions that you are proposing. I'll also say that when you are talking about this, you can see that from the grammar, it's a hypothetical situation. It doesn't have to be something that you've already addressed, or even something that you feel that you could address at this point in time. The important thing is that you have a thoughtful response to how you would address this, given certain skills that you had or additional experience, but based on your previous experience, kind of what has influenced you to approach this problem in a certain way, and how would you approach it? Finally, we'll give bonus points for people who provide evidence of either a climate justice or diversity, equity, and inclusion, or community engagement focus in your answer. So again, going back to our diversity goal, we really do value seeing this kind of experience and connection in our scholarship winners. And then lastly, evidence of previous or current leadership experience in your answer. And so again, you don't have to have actually worked on this problem, but let's say you have like some club leadership experience, and that has informed how you approach certain kinds of problems. That's something that we would love you to mention. Going on to the second question is, The next generation of leaders will need to bring a diverse skill set in order to meet the needs of the rapidly evolving energy industry. How do you envision your future in the growing energy space? How do your past experiences prepare you for this future? What specific sets of skills do you want to develop to prepare yourself for the future opportunities in the energy industry? And then in 500 words or less, please answer the questions above, including specific examples from your own experience. And so this question, you'll notice, is a little bit more focused on your skills and your previous experience, whereas the last question, we're looking for something a little bit more aspirational, like how would you approach a problem if it happened? And this one is, kind of where do you want to grow, and where do you think your strengths are right now? And so kind of going through the same thing, we are looking for applicants to answer the question in its entirety, to give a clear and detailed vision of your future career, and to provide a thoughtful and informative explanation of how you will leverage your unique skills and experiences in addressing the energy and climate challenges of interest to you. And the bonus points here are the same. Great, so we're almost done. Just some closing thoughts. When you're writing your essays and filling out the application questions, just remember to consider, what really makes you unique, what's going to make you stand out from other candidates. And this isn't just, like we're all special, but really we do get a good number of applications each year. And in general, more and more applications every year. And just highlighting this for the reviewers makes our jobs easier. If there's something that makes you a really standout candidate, don't be shy. This isn't the place for you to hide. This is the place for you to highlight what you've done and what makes you a really special candidate. In addition, if you do have any kind of either underrepresented background or non-traditional experience, that's not the only thing that's going to make you unique, but we do in particular look for that. And so please highlight that for us. And lastly, and this one is key, what experiences inspired you to get involved in the energy and climate space? This is a energy and climate themed organization. And so looking for people who are clearly passionate about this area and see themselves having a career in this field is important to us. And I would say that before you even start applying, I would maybe sit down and think about, why are you applying for this scholarship? Are there moments that you've had in your past that made you interested in energy or climate issues? And how can you weave that into your essay responses? Will help you, just have a more successful application. All right. And so with that, that is about it for our kind of informational section of this webinar. We had this set up as a survey, but since we have a small group, I might just kind of field these questions and we can chat about them organically. But we're looking for some feedback. This is an virtual webinar, but we're hoping to have an in-person event in May or June to provide another opportunity for students to learn about the scholarship and potentially meet other students or professionals that are interested in energy and climate. And I can just pull up. I think I have to share a different screen. So I'll share my other screen now. Yeah, we're basically just looking for some feedback on what you would enjoy in terms of event planning. And so we're looking for 3 things. One, if people have a time preference. I know that there are different academic calendars. So if people prefer May or June, And then 2, we're thinking about locations. So kind of wondering if people have a preference between San Francisco or East Bay, like Oakland or Berkeley. And then 3, kind of content wise, clearly we want this to be another opportunity for people to ask questions about the scholarship. But one of the advantages of kind of living in a space where the pandemic is getting better is that we can actually interact with people again. And we are trying to decide whether we want to have this be a more student-oriented event where students can meet each other, or if students would actually be interested in meeting some professionals who are in YPE right now, and just kind of learning more about like what that looks like. And yeah, asking questions and building connections. So maybe if people just want to either come off mute or put their responses in the chat, I can also copy the questions into the chat.
Can we respond now?
Now is
Okay.
a great time.
I'd say probably for the preference over June or May. I think May is a good month just because I feel like a lot of undergraduate students that go to school in the Bay or in Northern California may be going home during the summer months. So in like June through July and like the beginning of August. So I think May would be a good time because I think a lot of people would still be here before summer vacation.
Yeah, we were originally thinking May for that reason, but then I was also thinking, I know some people have finals, and so I don't know if people are going to be just too swamped. But yeah, I know a lot of people, either go home or have internships elsewhere. That's really helpful feedback. Yeah, I guess do you or anyone else have any thoughts about like location or like content? And for Roshni and Jocelyn, feel free to either, come off mute or use the chat. Either is totally fine.
I'd probably also be really interested in meeting professionals. I think it like give me a better idea of what YPE is, and yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'd be interested in meeting professionals, and then I'd also prefer meeting in May.
Awesome, thank you so much. All right. Well, that's been really helpful. So I think we'll try to do something in May and hopefully invite a couple of our YPE members so that students can meet professionals who are working in the industry today, as well as learn about scholarship. So hopefully you'll be seeing something soon. And I guess in terms of hearing more about that event, we'll make sure to put the registration link on the scholarship page. But the other thing I'll just always pitch is that it's not too early to join YPE now. Basically, what joining means is signing up for a free newsletter, which comes about once a month. And then we'll just have a list of events that are happening. It's really easy to sign up on the website. We'll go back to my other screen. So this was the scholarship page. In terms of getting involved, it's just this connect, join now. This will just sign you up for the newsletter. So that's just another way to hear about our events. But as I said, we'll put it on the scholarship page too. All right. Well, thank you so much for that feedback. And now I'll just turn over the floor. If anyone has any questions, feel free to either put them in the chat or just come off mute. And I think we'll probably wrap about 10 minutes early, but yeah, I'm still here until 7 if people want to chat.
I had a question. I was wondering if there's any like specific leadership skills that you guys would like for applicants to highlight in their essays, or that you're specifically looking for.
Yeah, I would say that kind of our expectations for leadership are pretty broad. I would say that one thing that we've noticed is that sometimes leadership can come kind of in unexpected ways. And so I've seen applicants, who, were involved in every club on their school and then every club at their college. And that's awesome. And if that's you, mention all of those clubs. But I've also seen people, who like had a kind of side job in high school, but they were working with children in their job and they were actually really passionate about that, and they like organize additional activities for those kids, like kind of above and beyond their normal like day-to-day responsibilities. And so I would say like any kind of experience that you think has made you a better leader is worth highlighting. And I wouldn't be too worried about like, oh, like, is this the kind of thing that they're looking for? I would say that if anything, more unique experiences do stand out. So please just, tell us what you've done, what you're passionate about, what you spend your time on. And we'd love to hear about it.
Thank you.
And I'd also say the other thing about leadership is that, in your classes, we'll often have group projects. I would say if there's a particular project where, I think we had an applicant once who worked on like a solar powered car, it doesn't have to be outside of school. If there is something you did in school where you felt like you really took a leadership role, you can also highlight that.
Are there like any other like tips you have just for the application in general?
Application in general, I think, I'm not sure if you were here for this part. I would say one thing I would recommend just like process wise is that we do have this PDF posted. And so one thing I was mentioning is that, there are different parts of the application. So I'd recommend downloading the PDF and kind of looking through it all to get a sense of the application first. Make sure that you have all the files you're going to need, and to maybe start drafting your responses in a Word document and then copying it in. And so I think process-wise, that's what I would recommend. I would say in terms of the application itself, I would say like one thing I would recommend is just like, you do want to give like a complete picture of yourself. But I would say when you're filling out these questions, sometimes like we just get like a laundry list where people, like I got Dean's list in 2020 and 2021 and 2022, and just kind of, I think like when you kind of list everything like that, again, like we want a complete picture, so list everything, but I think the more you can kind of highlight some of the things that you think stand out about yourself, and one way you can do that is like now that we have this option to upload a resume and CV, you could be a little bit strategic about maybe in the application you list everything, but in the resume you really highlight your biggest ones, or vice versa. I think that's the one kind of, thinking about the application itself. I think sometimes it's like a little bit overwhelming for the reviewers, kind of how much, everyone is listing and then like comparing everyone. So that's one thing I would say, just kind of, they make our jobs a little bit easier and highlight what you think makes yourself stand out in some way.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So if there aren't any other questions, again, thank you for coming. And if you think of any questions later, feel free to email us. Our scholarship email is YPE SF Bay Area scholarship@gmail.com. This is also posted on the scholarship page. The only thing is that we are a totally volunteer run organization, so it might take us a couple of days to respond. Again, thank you in advance for your patience, but feel free to email us questions. We're totally happy to answer them. And thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Stop the recording.